So Madeline, is Advocacy Associates starting this off?
Yes, Lincoln will be starting us off. So whenever he is ready, he can go ahead and start sharing his screen.
Okay. Oh, there he is.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Stephanie, I didn't know if you wanted to open up with any opening remarks before I get going. That's fine. Or otherwise I can jump right into it.
Oh, sure. You know, we didn't really discuss how I was actually going to start, but yes, Lincoln, again, thank you so much. We have been partnering with Advocacy Associates for a few years now, and so grateful for all of your help with getting us onto the Hill through Zoom meetings. And it looks like we have a lot of advocates tonight. I'm going to hand it off to Lincoln. He's going to talk a little bit about our platform, and then I'm going to follow up with kind of the overview, the logistics of the day, go through some of our priorities, and we're going to finish up with a little bit of education on social media and how we're going to blend that into everything. Of course, along the way, we will definitely have opportunity for questions. So that was just off the cuff. So I think Lincoln, you're ready.
That was perfect. Yeah, you nailed it. Perfect. Yeah, so good evening, everybody. My name's Lincoln Clapper. I'm part of the Advocacy Associates team here in DC. And as Stephanie said, we've been working with you all for a few years now. And if you participated in this event last year virtually, a lot of what I'm going to show you is going to look pretty familiar. I'm just going to walk you through just an overview of the online dashboard you'll be using for your meetings, and just some of the features that go along with that in terms of how to navigate that. So if you were here last year, great. This will be a good refresher for you. If not, we'll be able to introduce you to everything right now. So that being said, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get going here. Now, if anybody has any questions along the way, just for time's sake, please put them in the chat box. And I'll hang on here after I'm done and answer them individually with you all, or we can answer them as a group depending on kind of what the agenda is. But put them all in the chat and I'll go through to make sure and answer them all one at a time. Also, before I get going, just to make sure everyone's on mute in case somebody's dog comes walking in or alarm goes off in the background. That just sometimes that can happen in this day and age. So we will get going here now. So you should have all gotten an email from us earlier today, and if you're watching this as a recording, today is February 24th. So we released these around noon, midday-ish. So look in your inbox for Advocacy Day at advocacyassociates.com. That's where that would have come from. If you don't see it in your inbox, check your spam or junk folder. It more than likely is sitting there. If you do find it there, please unmark it as spam, because this will be our main way of communicating with you in terms of time changes, scheduling updates. All of that's going to come through over email. We want to make sure you're getting that correspondence. Now, if you did not, if you don't see it in your inbox and you don't see it in your spam or junk folder, I'll be able to drop a link in the chat after this is done, where you can reach out to our development team and they'll send you a new login credentials one-on-one tomorrow. Now, within the body of that email, it will be a link to your schedule. And so this is an example here, but you'll see a link to your schedule in the upper right corner. That's highlighted here in red. And in the middle of that email will be your login credentials. So when you click on that link, you're going to need your username and password, which it'll be your email address and a temporary password that the system has generated for you. So when you click on that link, it'll take you to the login page, and that's where you're going to want to enter those credentials. So go ahead and put your email in, put that temporary password in, click the sign in button, and then you'll be prompted to change that password to your own personal password. So rather than using the temporary every time, you'll be forced to make a new one. Just make sure you meet all the requirements there. You can see all the boxes are checked in green here as an example. Pretty standard password creation stuff. Once you click the send button, it'll launch you into your schedule. And from there, that'll be the only time you'll be asked to log in on that device. So it will save you logged in. It's called dropping a cookie essentially. So you'll remain logged in, and every time you revisit this page, you'll stay logged in like an app on your phone. Now, if at some point you become logged out or you try to access from another device and you forgot your password, you can easily reset it. Just click the forgot password link, follow the directions that come up from there. It'll be like any other standard password reset function that you've encountered online. Now, if you're still having issues getting in at that point, please go to the contact link here in that initial email that's you've gotten from us. You can reach out to our development team through this mechanism. They'll be in touch with you tomorrow or this weekend, depending on when you submit this, with any issues in terms of getting you logged in. Now, once you are logged into the schedule, you'll see a dashboard that'll look similar to this. All of your confirmed meetings will have a time next to them. That's how you'll know they're confirmed. Anything that's still pending will show as TBD. I think we have about 10 meetings or so left in your project, which is pretty standard, even this close to the day of the event. If you do see it as TBD, that just means we're either working on a time or we're still working on trying to rearrange something within your schedule to make it work. Once these meetings do become confirmed, you will get a notification email about that from our system. So you'll be very much in the loop every step of the way as they become slotted into your schedule. And don't be surprised if this happens Monday morning or even midway through the day Monday. Sometimes these could come across extremely last minute, but either way, you will be very much notified of that if that does occur. Now, one thing that we have changed from last year is we have our new time zone modification. So all time zones will be displayed in the time zone you're located in. So you will not need to do any time conversions. The time will adjust accordingly based on your location. So you will not need to do any time conversions. Now, in order to get the content for each meeting, just click on any part of the module there. It'll launch you into that specific meeting dashboard, which will look something like this. You'll see the time and date again at the top, followed by who you're going to be speaking with in that office, whether it's the staffer, the member, or both. If there's been a meeting lead assigned to your meeting by the government affairs team here, you will see that person or person's name displayed here. If not, then this area is going to be blank. In order to access the video component for your meeting, just click that green Join Online Meeting button. You can expect to engage in the Zoom platform, I would say 99 out of 100 times. There are a few offices that, for whatever reason, whether it's security or their own office policy, they just don't do video at all. So if that is the case, you will see a disclaimer on the button letting you know that it's an audio only meeting. I think we only have a handful of those. So some of you will see that on your schedule. Now, if you are not able to access via video, you can of course dial in too. There will be dial-in instructions in this area here. So just follow those instructions if you need to dial into the meeting. All of your talking points will be in the talking points module here, which will be discussed later. All of your documents will be in the documents module here. Simply just click on each document. It'll open up in a separate tab on your browser. You will not need to download anything. It will just simply open up in a new tab so you can toggle back and forth between your schedule, your documents, and your Zoom platform all at the same time. Beneath that is the attendees section. You may have to scroll down a little bit to get to it, but you'll see the attendees section in this area here. This will show all the attendees who are going to be in that meeting with you. There may be some relevant contact information there for you to contact each other outside of the platform. You can also turn this on or off by clicking on your name in the upper right-hand corner. There'll be a drop-down menu where you can hit the privacy tab, and then you can uncheck whether you want to display that information or not. You can also contact each other through our peer-to-peer chat function. This is a direct private messaging system between you and the other advocate that you're messaging. So you can have a private conversation through this module. If somebody messages you this way, you will get a notification about that from the portal as well. On the left-hand side is our report form area. This is the first one is the check-in feature. So we ask everyone to check this box either before or shortly after your meeting concludes, letting us know that you checked in and you were there, because we'll be sending an attendance report over to the team after this event, and we want to be able to highlight that you were present. Beneath that will be an option for you to send a thank you email to whoever you met with. This will pull up an automated script that's already been crafted for you by the government affairs team. It'll also pull the staffer's email for who you met with as well, so you'll have that contact information. And you can open this email in one of two ways. You can click on that blue open email button at the top, which will pull up whatever your native platform is on your computer. So for example, I have Microsoft Outlook. If I were to click that button, it would pull up an Outlook email for me to send. If you don't have anything like that on your computer and you use Gmail, or Yahoo, etc., you can copy all of this information with those 3 copy clipboard buttons beneath that blue button, and then paste it over to the email client of your choice to send. Beneath that will be the meeting report form. These are specific questions for you to answer after each meeting, so go through and answer those. When you get to the bottom, you'll see a submit button. Just make sure you click that to submit your answers, and you'll do this for each meeting on your schedule. Beneath that will be a take notes section. This is essentially a blank notepad if you want to take freehand style notes rather than using a pen and paper. Just a nice way to sort of keep everything in one place. You may also see some past notes from the meeting, from meetings from last year about what advocates had to say about their meeting with that office if they use this module. So it can also serve as a nice refresher and some nice background material before you go into your meeting. Beneath that is an option to select if the member of Congress was present or not present. This is just a nice data point that we're able to get specifically from you. The meeting may be scheduled with a member of Congress, but they get pulled away to votes, or they're stuck at a committee hearing and they can't make it. Again, just a very useful data point at the end of the day for follow-up perspective. So mark one of those options as well when the meeting concludes. And then lastly, for you social media fans, you can access your Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn if you'd like to drop a post on any of those platforms once the meeting concludes as well. When you click on the meetings tab, it'll take you back to the home page and you can navigate your way to that next meeting on your schedule. The legislators tab will take you to an area where you can view bios for everyone you're meeting with, such as this. You'll also see links to all their social media pages as well, and you can play around with that further. The bills tab will highlight any relevant bills that you may be tracking for this event. It'll also show the vote history of how the member has voted on that bill previously, if it has been voted on yet. If you click on the actual bill there, it'll take you to the congress.gov site for it, where you can look up co-sponsors, you can read the actual text of it, you can do a lot more exploring through that site. The news tab will pull any relevant news articles they've been mentioned in recently online. You can read about those online. And the committees tab will show all the committees that they serve on. So you'll have that background information as well going into each meeting. The messages tab will take you to an area where you can view those direct peer-to-peer messages, just sort of a catalog of them. The directory is a master directory of everyone in the event, so you can contact people outside of your meetings if you choose to. And the support tab will be your best friend for anything and everything support, whether it's technical support, scheduling support, you can't make a meeting, anything and everything at all. Go to the support tab. This will be the fastest, most efficient way to get any question resolved. So go to support for any issues. The More tab is basically a drop-down menu of all the content I've already reviewed. You can see how that operates when you get into your portal. There may be some additional resources in there too for you to check out. So go ahead and play around with that when you get logged in as well. Okay, last slide here. Again, check your spam or junk folder if you haven't gotten that initial email from us. Our domain is @advocacyassociates.com if you want to search for that. We're asking everybody to get into the meeting, whether you're calling in or via video, 10 minutes prior to the start time on your schedule. And this is really just to make sure you can touch base with the other attendees in your group about roles, and also just to make sure everyone's present when the office joins. That way you guys can start right on time. All times on your schedule are going to be shown in the time zone you're located in when viewing it. So again, you will not need to do any time conversions. You're going to get a reminder email 1 hour prior to each meeting throughout the course of the day, which will also include a link to your schedule in it, which will make it really easy to get in and out of the schedule throughout the course of the day. If the office does not join your meeting within 10 minutes past the start time, please contact us. There will be a help number in the support tab for you to call if a situation does come up like that. Members and staff are people too, and sometimes they run late. So just give them a 10-minute buffer to join before letting us know. Please recognize these meetings may go anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. So just prepare your talking points accordingly. Any changes to your schedule the day of the event is going to come through over email. So again, just make sure you're really monitoring that closely throughout the course of the day. Make sure you are in an area with good Wi-Fi connection, as again, most, if not all of your meetings will have a video component to them. Please mute your microphone whenever you're not speaking. And lastly, just know your audience, ensure you have an appropriate background. What I mean by that is just nothing super politically charged, because you'll be speaking with both Republicans and Democrats throughout the course of the day. So that being said, very much looking forward to next week, and I'll turn it back over to Stephanie from here.
Hey, Lincoln, you have some questions in the chat.
Okay.
Someone asked, so if we have multiple meetings, can we plan on 30 minutes? And then afterwards, somebody asked, if we have 5 to 9 advocates in a meeting, do you want every single one of us to fill out the meeting report for that meeting?
So first question, yeah, you can expect the meeting to go anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. It's always better to prepare for it to be shorter rather than longer. So the more concise you can be, the better. If it ends up going long, then that's great, but you always want to make sure you have enough time to get your main points across, and I'm sure the rest of you and your team are going to dive into that more later. In terms of the, what was the second part of that question?
It was about filling out
the meeting report form. Yeah, so I mean, I'll leave that up to you guys, Stephanie. I mean, some groups want all the data, some only want one person from each team to submit it. So, you know, I'll leave that up to you to kind of tell everyone.
Yes, and actually, just to answer that, I think what we did last time was whoever was the constituent, we just picked one person, and that person would fill out the meeting notes, and that just made it easier. But if everybody wants to fill it out, if it's okay to do that too, if everyone has something they want to put in there. But just definitely agree amongst yourself that we get at least one from every meeting.
Okay. Anything else, Madeline?
Nope, that seems like that was all the questions. But if anybody has any questions now, you can feel free to ask Lincoln while he's available. But if not, we can hand it over to Stephanie.
Okay, yeah, I'll hang on for a few minutes in the chat in case anybody wants to submit anything else.
Okay. And Lincoln, you can see the chat, so can you respond on chat as well?
Yeah, I'll come back through it. Yep.
And Madeline, I know we are still trying to work on the captions. Yes, we are looking through all the tabs and cannot seem to find it, but Rebecca is still on it as the host. She's still trying to get it sorted out. So we're trying to get it done as quickly as possible.
Maria, are you, I'm not seeing you right now. Do you know how to turn on captions? Do you want to unmute and just, do you know how to turn those captions on?
Well, the host has to go into their Zoom settings. Sometimes it's on the website itself, their account, and sometimes it's on the actual Zoom application, whatever that platform is. It depends on which version of Zoom you have and what type of paid account you have.
Okay.
I know when we do the Adult Resource Committee Zoom chats, we have a caption company that we use and we schedule them before then. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, Maria, you bring up an extremely good point, and I am sorry that we did not anticipate this better. We should have, but certainly if we can't figure it out this time, this needs to be on our list for next time to make sure we do have it. And all I can say is I'm sorry.
I'm not the only one here who's looking for captions. I'm just the one who's very vocal about it because I'm kind of annoyed about it.
You know, and actually Annabelle needs captions right here in my house. You know, it's just, there's so many things we're trying to put together here. Sometimes you miss some of the trees in all the forest. You just miss some of the things. And I'm really sorry about that. I should have known personally. Okay, so they will be looking for that. Maybe it will pop up. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. We will get that addressed for next time. So I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see, share screen. Here we go. Okay, from start. All right. So just quickly, we're going to go over some of the background here and just logistics, and then really try to spend just a little bit more time on the actual legislative priorities for this year. But I do always like to give a little bit of history to kind of put in context what we have done as at the MPS Society. So when you go into your meetings, you know a little bit of our history here. This talks about just really prior to 2012, it was really just a small number of advocates that would go to the Hill each year. It was probably about maybe 4 to 5, 6 advocates that would visit as many people as they can, representing all the states. It just happened to be maybe board members or someone that was chairing the advocacy committee. In 2014 was our first time that we decided we got to think a little bigger here, and we ended up bringing the entire board, the staff. We got some grant funding. We all came up, did our advocacy visits, and then we thought, wow, this is working out great. We should spread the love. And that's when we launched the Speakers Bureau in 2017. Again, we were able to do that, thankfully, through some generous sponsors and writing some grants through the MPS Society to cover those costs. And now, unfortunately, we've had to revert to not actually going there, but we are doing it by Zoom. But the fun thing is we are having more advocates engaged than ever because of the accessibility of actually doing it by Zoom. So it's kind of one of those situations. It seemed grim, but it turned out to be an actual plus for a lot of people to get engaged that wanted to be. And as you can see this year, we've got, I think the number was around 66. And when I talked to Terry earlier today, she thought we had about 118 legislative visits scheduled. That's just an estimate. It could have been, number could have changed a little bit. The big day logistics, sorry, my little tab here, my people faces is over everything. Okay, so of course, we just talked to Advocacy Associates. The goal is to secure appointments with one senator. Oh my gosh, I wrote it in here backwards. Oh wait, 2 senators, 1 House representative. I did write it right. Okay, so every state has 2 senators representing them. And then and that is for the state. That's for everyone that lives in that state. Same 2 senators. But we all have 1 House representative, and that is a smaller division within your state. It's in your community. It's there's boundaries set. Sometimes that changes a little bit from year to year, but you only have 1 House representative. However, in the Senate, we have the representative. There's a lot more representatives, as you can imagine, because it's broken down, and there's many representatives that can come out of one state, but they only represent one specific area. You will receive your personalized schedule. We've gone through that. And as Lincoln mentioned, changes can happen. It happened to me last year, and we had actually not even planned for an extra meeting at the end of the day. And we were scrambling like, oh gosh, now we gotta, I was going off to do other stuff. And then I had to revert back my plan because of a change in the schedule. So really try to leave your day open for these changes that they might squeeze in an appointment in the beginning, middle, or end of the day. Just be ready for it. Oh gosh, I'm having to move my little people again. Okay. Know your legislators. And just as we were looking at that screen again with Lincoln, I was reminded that is all on there. That is such a cool feature. I would definitely recommend getting on there and taking a look at that to get to know your legislator. And there's even some acts that we're going to look at that you will need to find out if your legislator is a co-sponsor, and that is where you can see that. As Lincoln mentioned, do not talk partisan stuff. This is, when we're talking rare diseases, doesn't matter what party you're from. Don't make assumptions about how they might react to something you're saying. And if anyone in your group accidentally is kind of veering in that direction, just let everyone work together to do your best to kind of steer the conversation back to why we're here today. It has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat issues or independence or anything like that. That's not what we're here to discuss today.
Stephanie, the word is democratic, not Democrat issues, it's democratic issues.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so what is your story? And this is where I want to make sure that you need to take some time over the weekend. We all know our story. Sometimes we know very long versions of our stories. So you need to think about that story, think what parts of that story really relate to the ask that we're asking today, because sometimes what might be super important to you doesn't really relate to the ask. If you can somehow build it in to tell that part because you feel like it is important to share, just take some time, try to figure out what you're going to say, how you're going to say it quickly, time yourself, say it in front of the mirror, say it with some friends, get some feedback. Did they even understand what you were saying? Did you get off track? It's always good to just check back in with what are you trying to talk about and how does it connect with why we're here today? And by the way, the same thing, if anyone has questions, please put it in the chat. I will have a section where we can, ask questions again. And Madeline, will you just make sure to, don't let me miss if we have any questions in the
It
chat.
sounds good.
I'm sure you'll let me know. Okay. This is tips for guidelines for success. Some of this is we've already covered, but conventional wisdom. Sometimes we wonder, we're getting ready for the day. What in the world do I wear? Well, it's on Zoom. So really we just have to worry about the top half, but just try to dress that we're talking to people in a government office. So, just something nice on top. You will plan for 15 minutes. Generally, they might go over a little bit. We do have some lofty ask. Our list is a little longer than usual, so it might take a little more time, and hopefully we'll have that time. However, if you do get to a point and you have not covered your ask and all of a sudden they're like, I gotta go, I've got another meeting, don't worry, don't freak out. Just say, I'm going to send this to you by email. I'll let you have a copy of all this information so you can look at it at your own time, and then do a follow-up email in like 2 weeks just to make sure that they reviewed it and answer any questions they might have. Okay. Oh, and he did kind of address the difference between a member versus an aide or correspondent. More likely than not, you will be meeting with a legislative aide or a health aide, a legislative correspondent. Some of them have different titles. On occasion, we do get an opportunity to meet with our members, which is a huge honor. So just feel really excited to actually have their attention for that short amount of time. They might just zip in to say hello and then zip out and let the aides carry everything. And just it's great to actually have them in the room with you if they're able to show up, but they do have busy schedules. So it's actually the aide or the correspondent that is dealing with the weeds, getting in the weeds of all of this stuff. So they're really the ones you want to educate. Okay. And lastly, as far as this overview, make sure that we finish right. You need to write a thank you email and or letter ASAP. I think it is a beautiful touch to do a handwritten letter. However, emails will suffice. I have talked to some legislative folks in the office and they're like, oh, just send me the email. Snail mail takes so long to get to us. So either will work, but definitely if you please try to start with that thank you note with email right afterwards. I do mine immediately so that I don't forget about it. Okay, so now we're getting to the priorities. I'm going to quickly review all of this. First is the meeting agenda, and Madeline, I'm not absolutely positive. I don't know if I actually saw this in the documents. Do they have the meeting agenda?
For the specific meetings individually, or?
Well, just just in general. Well, like this, where where it kind of gives you some time frames of like 3 minutes for introduction.
Yeah, we have a mock interview or a mock meeting online, as well as the template for the thank you email as well, in case anyone didn't know what to write or things like that as well. So those are located on the advocacy page of the website.
Okay, and maybe we can put this out there too. This just kind of helps you work your time and to kind of figure out how much time you should be spending on each thing. So, you know, you want to start out doing introductions, whoever is the constituent in the room. And for some of us, that might be 5 constituents in the room. You can't all go into a long story about your experience. So you might want to decide ahead of time, you know, pick 1 or 2 people, depending on, you know, if you're trying to shuffle around your different representative, who's going to talk in the meetings. But we don't want to spend too much time going into a deep background. Then we do spend a little bit of time asking, you know, try to engage. It's, for me, this Zoom thing, I've really gotten pretty used to it. It's conversational. Just try to kind of keep it easygoing and ask questions. Like when you're bringing up, and like the Newborn Screening Reauthorization Act. Are you familiar with this? Well, chances are they're familiar with it. So then you can kind of get an idea, how deep do I need to go into this one? Our priorities are right here, and I'm going to go further into those, and it's probably going to be more than 5 minutes. So that's really a time frame. Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the NIH appropriations. This is just to show you a little bit of background. We have for many, many years have gone in and made an ask of to include MPS related language into the appropriations bill that goes to NIH, the FDA, all these different government, that's what appropriations language does. It goes to the different bodies of government. It tells them what Congress would like them to focus their attentions on this year. And then at the end of the year, each of these government bodies have to respond back to Congress with the actions that what they did. So there's accountability at the end, you know, at the end of the year for what they did or didn't do. So it's really exciting for us to have MPS related language in there. The vast majority, there's a handful of rare diseases that are actually named in the appropriations language. So this was something that our advocates pushed for long before I was a part of the MPS Society. And we have just been able to maintain it usually year after year. You can see each year, we've never actually asked for an exact amount. We've never attached a number with it. We've kind of left that to NIH to determine that. However, this year we are asking. As you can see, we started out in 2006, we were at 10 million. We dipped and we dipped, we did some dipping, and we're still at 10 million. And there's been a lot of inflation since 2006. So we did put a suggestion that we would like to see that investment in MPS related research go up to 17 million. You will have a 1-pager on this. What we are asking is, would you champion this language in the appropriations bill? And that's the ask. Then there's a committee, an appropriations committee, that will get together and they will hash through. They'll get letters from all the different representatives, all the different senators. There's a committee on the Senate side, a committee on the House side, and then they hash it out what language they're gonna leave in, what they're gonna kick out, and then they squish them together between the House and the Senate and do another committee, and what ends up stays in there. So really, you want them to champion your language, to either make a request with their appropriations, or if they're actually on that committee, which you will be able to research and find out if they're on the appropriations committee. When you do your research, will they champion it and make sure it stays in, because it is so critically important. It is saving lives. And we've had these huge outcomes. This is a disease that had absolutely no treatments or cures or barely any research not that long ago. And look where we are today. And it's because of this investment that is saving lives of our, children and adults. So you will have a one pager on that, and you'll be able to get that to them. They will most likely respond. Can you submit that in electronic form? And then you'll need to get instructions on how to do that, and then usually it's like a Google sheet, or it's usually just like an online form that you fill out, and try to do it yourself. If you're getting stuck or stumbled, we will be there to help you.
Hey, Stephanie, there was a message in the chat that says, are you able to speak to why we are asking for the 17 million level?
We are asking for 17 million because it is flatlined for too long. And there's no reason. There's many other disease groups at NIH that have continued to go up with inflation. And this investment is a good investment. It's actually translational science as well. It will be in your one pager, kind of how we're talking about that. So what we learn about the brain of Sanfilippo in some ways can translate to the brain of Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. So it has a lot of translational components to it. Oh gosh, I knew I was going to get a question from you. I think you asked me in the past.
Stephanie, can I just clarify my question? So I think that what I was meaning by my question is, how did we come up with $17 million? Like, I would love to ask for 50 million.
I came up with that number.
So
Okay.
that was the gist of my question. I agree that it was at the $9 million level for a few years, and now we're at the 17 million. So didn't know if there was some sort of formula behind it. Or
I can tell you exactly what happened there. When I was given that wonderful table by Madeline that listed the increase in funding for spina bifida and for sickle cell, I just figured out how much we would have to add to our anticipated funding this year to get right between the two of those as a percentage of their baseline funding. So that's how I came up with adding 7 million to what we think would have been a $10 million funding given their flat line.
thank you.
Certainly.
Adam, do you have a question? I see that your virtual hand is raised.
I do. This is basically for Stephanie, and anyone can chime in as well. I had a meeting with my Congresswoman's office a couple of weeks ago, and if this information had been out, because I had asked what kinds of things they wanted to actually lead on the letter for the appropriations. And these were one of the things I wanted to know. And two, I did send an email reply after the meeting asking the questions that my Congresswoman's office had, and I never received a reply back on that email that I sent. So I'm wondering, A, was this information available prior to a couple of weeks ago? And if so, why wasn't I given another email saying this is what we wanted? And B, why has no one responded to my follow-up email?
Okay, well, I do think there's a possibility our wires got crossed, because I thought that the office was responding to you, and maybe they thought I thought that they had it. They were responding to you. And Adam, no, this information is really, a lot of this is hot off the presses. A lot of times we are trying to work out all these priorities. We're trying to figure it out. We had a meeting about a week and a half ago to really finalize exactly what we were going to go in with our ask. The reason being is we have, in the past, I've made the mistake of doing that too early and got all prepared, and turned out when we were about to go to Advocacy Days, what we were planning was no longer relevant. It was off target. So we do kind of wait till we're closer to the date to see where we are and where these, what should our priorities be, and make sure that they are the most relevant during the time that we are going to the Hill or making these visits. So I will look for your email. Madeline, will you help and see if you can find it as well?
Yes, I will look. Thank you.
And see if we can find that for you, Adam.
Yeah, because they wanted to know.
Seeing it.
they wanted, the questions that they asked were, is there anyone who is currently, any member of the House currently leading a letter? Or, and what Republicans had signed on in prior years so they knew who they could work with.
So
And that was the email I sent, basically that 30 minutes after I had my meeting with them.
yeah, and Adam, that is a pretty complicated question because we don't have someone, in the past, we've had someone that did champion, it was Lindsey Graham. That's been many years since he's done that for us.
Well, he's a senator, he's not a House
I mean,
member.
he's a senator, yeah, but that was someone that led it from the Senate. We actually got in from the Senate side in the past. That's how we got in. Now we're asking both the House and the Senate. So actually, we don't have someone that's actually leading the letter. We're just asking. So my understanding, and Adam, different offices go about this differently. So sometimes what I understand may not be happening what someone else's office in Idaho is doing. But my understanding is that when they get appropriations requests from their constituents, they might have a huge long list that legislator will put together their list of all the things that are important to them and their constituents, and then they submit that to the appropriations bill into the appropriations committee to review. And that's their request as a legislator. They want this considered. We do not have one person championing this.
I understand that, and that was what they were asking that because if you didn't have a person, they were willing to be that person.
Oh,
But
that's
they
great.
wanted confirmation that you didn't have anyone. So I told them I will check with the MPS Society, and as soon as they tell me, I will tell you. But I never heard back, so I couldn't say anything.
Okay,
They were
well,
willing to
you
be the
have your
champion.
answer tonight.
Well,
have
I'll
your
let them
answer.
know on Monday. I'll send them an email and then but also tell them on Monday as well.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you.
I wanted to say something just on a follow-up to how we got to the 17 million. Within the portal for the advocacy platform, I believe we have preloaded documents. And I think one of those actually lists out the graph showing the funding levels as a percentage of funding starting in 2006 for spina bifida and sickle cell. So that should make it really abundantly clear how badly we've lagged and how what we're asking for just gets us right up to the median of other rare diseases.
Yeah, you're right, actually. Oh my gosh, I have it right here. And it is on the one pager. I took everything out. Oh, yes. Okay. So let me see if I can get it on there. Y'all see that? In my thing, you see this is what they're going to be able to show them, this graph. These are the other ones and how they're comparing it. Do y'all see my picture? Did you see that? So
Stephanie, do we have a comparison with the incidence rates of the other two rare diseases? So if they wanted to compare how rare each of them were and what that investment looks like for like their population?
Not on that graph. Not on
No.
that graph. We don't.
Okay.
But yes, pull up when you look at your what we call them one pagers, but when you pull that up, you will be able to see that. It will be more self-explanatory on that graph. Okay, I'm going to move on because I'm worried we are going to go really long. Okay, so speeding access to therapy access today. This and like the appropriations language, that is going to be presented on both your House and your Senator. So you're going to tell both of them about that, along with this one, speeding access to therapy. Speeding access to therapy access today. Wait, did I write that wrong? I feel like I put the word twice. The Speeding Therapy Access Today Act. Okay, I did access twice on my title there. So you have a one page on this as well. This one is familiar to us. We have advocated for this last year and possibly the year before. The purpose of this one is to improve the development of and access to therapies for rare disease community by enacting targeted and impactful policy reforms at the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. This is hopefully the plan is to improve stakeholder engagement by creating a rare disease center of excellence. This is very similar, like what they did with oncology 5 years ago, and was huge for the oncology world. It also, within this act, it would create a rare disease and condition advisory committee. It would fund science to treat very small rare disease populations, and enhance communication coordination between FDA, Medicaid, and Medicare. And if you do receive Medicaid and Medicare, you probably have seen the gaps, the problems between rare disease becoming available and them actually covering it. It's a problem. So this is one of those acts to help fix that. Oh, and just one more thing. So this is one of those acts that we will see for a few years in a row because it takes a while for it to get some legs. One day it might actually morph into another bigger bill. But right now, this is really about educating. This is about putting it on the table. This is very important to us, along with many other rare disease groups. So they will most likely, it's a good chance your representative has seen this before. So I would ask. Okay, this one, Newborn Screening Saves Lives Reauthorization Act, is only on the Senate side. The House has already passed their portion. We are just now waiting for senators to get on board and pass their side. And what we're asking to do is just to co-sponsor it. This one is most likely, whoever you speak with is going to be familiar with Newborn Screening Saves Lives Reauthorization Act. And again, in the one page, it's going to really explain in more detail what this is about. Anytime we do a reauthorization of like newborn screening and other things, we're always asking to kind of modernize it. Like, let's update it. Like, let's fill the gaps, the voids that we had before that weren't working. And again, this one is hopefully going to do that. The purpose of it: diagnosis through newborn screening saves lives, improves healthcare outcome, and reduces long-term healthcare costs by allowing detection at the earliest moment possible. I think for most of us, this one is an easy one to connect to your story of earlier treatment, better outcomes. And better outcomes means a lot of times less visits to the doctor, less medical interventions if you have a better outcome. I did put down the current co-sponsors that I looked that up today on congress.gov. You will have a link through that through Advocacy Associates. So I would take another look because there might be more senators signing on that from when I even just did it earlier today, that it might get updated again. And so your senator might end up on there. If your senator is already on there, this is not an ask, it's a thank you very much. Okay, I'll move on to the next one. Okay, now we are going, that was just a Senate, now we're going to the House side. I don't know why the House is over there for me, but this is co-sponsored Cures 2.0. It's HR 6000. It is not in the Senate yet. They are starting it from this side. It is legislation for some of us that have been around advocating for a while. You probably remember 21st Century Cures. That was a huge feat achievement for the rare disease community. And we advocated for 21st Century Cures for years until it finally became a thing. It finally happened. Gosh, I don't have the date of when that happened. I think it was like 2016, maybe. And now Cures 2.0 is modernizing, because we've even advanced since then, but it's really modernizing that concept and growing upon, filling in the gaps of, yes, we've had some huge success with 21st Century Cures, but this is the next step. We need to take another step. In this one, and as you can see, like some of the words, revolutionize, it's all about inclusion, it's equity for rare disease patients and their disease groups. I'm going to have Terry speak on, and I've got a slide for that, Terry, so I'll get to it right next. but it's going to create, in this bill, it talks about creating an agency for advanced research projects for health, which is the H at the end of it. So ARPA H is what, I got a slide on that. It also talks about telehealth. It talks about streamlining payer process for equity of those receiving Medicaid and Medicare. I've already mentioned that before. It's such a problem that we have right now. People that have Medicaid and Medicare can probably speak to that. Also, more programs to train and educate those that are home caregivers, encouraging more diversity in clinical trials, and more access and education about illness and treatment options. This bill has a ton of co-sponsors. It was so many, I couldn't put it on a slide. So your homework is, you don't even have to like do a whole education piece on this. If you're, this is like your get out of jail free card. Like if your representative is already signed on to this, this is a thank you. Thank you so much for signing on to this. So hopefully when you get to that, and I will go back in and click, but you can find it if you go to congress.gov and you're going to pull up HR 6000, and then it's going to pull up Cures 2.0, and then there's going to be these little tabs, and you can kind of get more information on the bill. And then there's going to be says co-sponsors. You hit that, and then you got to scroll through because it's not in alphabetical order. It's by date that they signed on. It should be alphabetical, but you know, that's me. Okay. Terry. I'm giving this one to Terry because she's really excited about this part.
I'm super excited about this. And the ARPA H, first of all, is a program that Biden has put in place last year. So this program actually is implemented, but there has some issues with it. And when we've begun addressing what those issues were and did a deep dive, we began working with the coalition of other foundations. And what we've done is put together this one pager for you. So let me break it down a little bit because this is a talking point for you. But we also want you to recognize it's not a standalone bill in the House yet, but it is addressed under Cures 2.0. It's also addressed under the HELP Legislative Act, in which we've been in contact with both of the Senate side and the House side of legislators that are championing behind these bills or might be a chair for the HELP or for Cures 2.0. But let me pare this down and tell you why this is important. The ARPA H program came together, and really quickly groups came together like the Society, Every Life Foundation, Global Genes, our former NCATS director, Dr. Chris Austin. And we began to address what was the gaps for rare diseases in the ARPA H program that was being launched last year by President Biden. And so these were the asks. And then these are the asks again for this year. We're asking for ARPA H program to include the rare disease community in a more prominent role. As representatives of the rare disease community, our goal is to ensure that ARPA H is structured in a way that prioritizes and reflects the unique circumstances and needs of the rare disease patient community. We are looking, this is asked too, we're looking for the incorporation of a stronger tie between the FDA and ARPA H for clear language of duties between both of them so that we can understand the formal mechanisms that they're going to use to implement drug manufacturing, drug approval, and know who's supposed to own which part so that they're not overlapping duties. Because right now their language in ARPA H says that they're going to collaborate and they're going to consult with the FDA. And we just don't think that that is strong enough language for our timelines for the rare disease community. So we want them to clean that up. The communication and the coordination that takes place between ARPA H and the FDA is really critical. And this is the reason why the coalition was formed. We do not want ARPA H to skirt around our rare diseases at all. We would like to see a more concise delineation of the duties between both of them to make sure that the program's successful for us. And right now, the way the language is written under ARPA H They're not addressing enough about rare diseases. And we're really worried they're going to put things into motion that are going to miss these 7,000 rare diseases of population. And so that was the quickest way for me to kind of pare it down, but tell you why I'm excited about this. First of all, I'm not excited. I'm kind of saddened that we're in this space, but I'm excited because there are groups and foundations like the Society that are strong, that say we have found an unmet need. We need to address it right away. And if Cures 2.0 doesn't address it, and if it doesn't get addressed under the HELP bill, then we recognize we're going to be moving forward to create legislation, and it will become a bill with a number. So in the meantime, you're going to have this in your takeaway packets. I mean, the legislators, your representatives and your senators will have this as a takeaway. And if you feel confident enough to talk to it, just land on the language about ARPA-H, please including rare disease language. And we'd like to see more division of duties that are understandable between the FDA and ARPA-H, so we're not building gridlocks for drug development in the rare disease patient community. And that's it.
Thank you, Terry. Okay. All right. Questions and any tips that y'all feel I might have missed? First, let me talk with Madeline. Do you see anything in the chat box that we need to address?
We have been working on answering questions as they come up.
Oh gosh, there's a lot in here I haven't seen. Okay.
If anyone has any questions now that they would like to ask, feel free.
Okay. And anything that you, okay, well, I'm thinking of something. And Lincoln did talk about this for a second in his presentation, but yes, I do highly recommend everyone get on your platform online and get in there at least 10 minutes early so that you can work out with the other advocates that are going to be in the meeting with you what each of you are going to cover. It doesn't have to be one person doing all of it because that's the constituent. It's a time when you can, you hit this and then I'll go and then you hit this and then just kind of work out a plan. Like, how are we going to say, someone, if we need to kind of move along, is there like a signal we want to do to kind of help each other out? So that is really important, precious time that I please take advantage of. To coordinate with your advocates. I would also suggest, if you don't know who they are, try to reach out to them over the weekend or on tomorrow or over the weekend prior to your meeting. That could be someone you can role play with as well as share your story with that would be able to provide probably pretty good feedback. Okay, Madeline, did you have?
Yes. Would you like me to do the social media section now? I know we're running short on time, so I just want to be cognizant of that as well.
Yes, you jump in. I'm handing it over to you. Thank you.
Alrighty. I will share my screen. All right.
Do I have to unshare? I still see my screen. Stop share. Okay, I'm stopping share.
The social media screens.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'll try to run through this quickly, but if you have any questions afterwards, please just let me know. So for advocacy, we primarily use Facebook and Twitter to share with members of Congress and others. So social media can be used to make people aware of the problems that we in our community are facing. Thank representatives for the actions that they've taken in the past, whether that be co-sponsoring a bill, voting in a certain way, or other certain ways that we ask them to, and also to make them aware of how pieces of legislation would affect you and the community. So that's what we'll be doing now, is having our asks for our representatives in our meetings. So anyways, before we know how to create a post, we need to know, how do we mention someone on Twitter? So this is pretty straightforward. When you mention someone, they will be able to see the post directly. And that's very easy. All you do is the @ symbol and then their name. And if you don't know the member's Twitter name, it can easily be found with a quick Google search or checking on their official website. So that way you can directly thank them after the meeting or contact them about something that you really thought was interesting during the meeting and things of that nature. So in terms of hashtags, if anyone doesn't know, are ways to make searchable links. So anything that we have a hashtag on, we'll be able to search afterwards. So it also brings awareness to the cause that we're doing. So our hashtags that we've used in the past and that we would like you guys to use this year are hashtag National MPS Society, hashtag Cure Support Advocate, and hashtag MPS Advocacy 2022. But if you have any hashtags that you really enjoy using as well, just make sure that they're professional and okay to be shared with Congress people. But yes, anyways. So how to create a post? So we ask that during your meeting, you ask your representative if you're able to take a picture. So this can easily be done with the print screen function on your computer, and it can also be done with the snipping tool. So if you go into the little search bar on the bottom of their taskbar, you can search a snipping tool and it should pop up. But also if you have any questions on how to use that, I can help with that as well. So you can post the picture with the member and just thank them for their time, because obviously we want to make a good impression. So yes, anyways, and then here is a sample post of, a post that has been done in the past. So as you can see, they have the @ to the senator and then thanking them for joining them and also what they had talked about in the meeting, and as well as a hashtag. So that's just a really quick overview of social media. But like I said, if you guys have any questions, I would be more than happy to speak individually or through email. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Madeline. That was terrific. Well, Stephanie, what do you think? I want to end the meeting, though, with an apology to Adam, because Adam, it was with me that I should have emailed you back. And I did start the draft email, but I didn't because we had 2 other people that reached out to me about the appropriations language, and I hadn't had a confirmed answer yet from them. And the answer is we have no one that's championing that bill yet. So I just looked back at my emails now, and we're grateful for all you do because you're a superstar, Adam. You always have been. You're on top of it. And we would be so grateful if you could move forward to ask if your representative would carry that appropriations language and sponsor it. It would mean a great deal to us.
I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, yeah, I do see a question on here. Did we answer this? Is there a list of all the people in the meeting? All I have seen is the government official. Okay, when you go further in and you click on the person, like mine's, Representative Tim Kaine, or Senator Tim Kaine, excuse me, he's not a representative. If I click on that, it will show me who else is in the meeting with me. I'm pretty sure I tried it earlier. So the first thing you'll see is your list of all your meetings, but then you have to click on it to see who's in it with you. And if no one else is assigned with you yet, and you can't see it, that's a good, go to that. When he said he's got that little help thing that you can ask questions, send it directly back to them. They are coordinating all of that for us. So they are the right people to ask.
And that's a really good point, because if you do see yourself alone, we don't want that either. And the team, like myself or Madeline or anyone else on the society team, will jump into that meeting with you. So you're not alone. So I just want you to know that. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Stephanie, I appreciate that. And I looked at, I don't know, maybe I'm Louisiana. I would have that many, but I looked and I didn't see where that was, and I'm looking at it again, and I'll try. I don't mind talking about our situation of family, but I didn't know if I was talking over somebody else.
I think we specifically have tried and asked to pair people together. So, I mean, even me, who I've done this for years and years and a long time, I still love to go with someone else in my meeting. It just adds a little bit of depth, not someone else's. It just adds to the whole experience. It's really exciting. So if you are in your meeting alone and you do not see anyone else and you're not going to anyone else's, like I'm going to my meetings and some meetings for Delaware. If you don't see any other people on there, then you need to go ahead and let Advocacy Associates know through their little help portal. And like Terry said, anyone from the society will be happy to jump in with you. It's
Oh,
definitely makes it more fun.
100%, Stephanie. I mean, we've all been, I don't know, I've been at this since my daughter was diagnosed, since she was 3, she's now 16. So I have no problem talking about her and super advocate of 4.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think there's some questions about the leave behind cards, and Madeline, can you answer that?
Yeah, Leslie answered in the chat, but
Oh,
she
she did.
said that leave behind cards will be sent by the individual advocate after the meeting.
Anything else that anyone has you want to just throw out there?
There was one message that just came in. Did we already receive the email with the software link?
To get on the Advocacy Associates, yes, that came out around noon today. Check your spam. If you still don't see it, we'll have to get on it first thing tomorrow morning and make sure that we let Advocacy Associates know. You want to contact the office. I'm not going to be as available tomorrow, so contact the office to make sure that we get you all linked up and make sure you get that link again. I got on, it was really easy to do. It's like 5 seconds and once you reset your password.
Stephanie, do we have a copy or like an example for a follow-up email? I know in the past we've had an example and I didn't know if that was uploaded as well.
Oh, and yes, Lincoln did talk about that. So there will be a thank you email that you can either have it linked to your Outlook account, but if you have like Yahoo, which I have, or Google or one of those other things, it'll have where you can copy the email and then paste it into your your whatever email account directly to them with their email addresses. That's how I did it last year. It was pretty easy.
Okay, great.
So it's already drafted and you can go in there and add in whatever you want. I usually, add in a few little tidbits to make it more personal.
Also, Stephanie, Madeline wrote an email thank you template, a really good one, and it's on the downloads on the advocacy page with the bills. So you can look at it there.
One? I believe that they'll be putting the same email on the Advocacy Associates website. It's in multiple places in case, for some reason the email function on Advocacy Associates isn't working or anything like that.
You got it. You got it in 2 places. Okay. All right. If anyone else, say now, if you have a question, because I'm about to let y'all go. I love seeing all your faces. This is so exciting. One day, I hope we might all be running around on the hill together again, but I don't think we should ever give this up. This really gives everybody an opportunity. So I don't know, maybe sometime we're going to have like a hybrid of going to the hill and doing Zoom meetings so everyone can be involved, because it's really exciting to go. But this is also a great opportunity. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being a part of this, for all the years you put into it. For those that are brand new and this is your first year, I'm so excited for you to be a part of what makes our country tick and kind of get on the inside track and realize that we actually do have a voice is kind of cool. So thank you everyone for being on here tonight and listening to me for like the zillionth time talk about advocacy. Okay.
Never gets old, Stephanie, never gets old.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Oh,